Fellowship is added. A lot of things happen. Long chapter. Our lives are divided into different chapters of life. Some of us are approaching that final chapter. You know, the next verse says, the days of our years are 70, and if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away. I've told the church a number of times that, you know, I've passed that 70. I'm now praying for strength for 80. Every good story describes its characters. Who can forget such characters from the pen of Mark Twain as Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, or from the pens of others? The characters they describe, and they become familiar to us. And I think most all of us are familiar with the classic novel by Robert Louis Stevenson, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Describes those characters very well, but when we look at that, how many of us are a combination of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? There are times when we doubt the Lord like Thomas. There are times that we deny the Lord like Peter. At other times we love Him like the Apostle John. Everyone has, two sides. Which side? Most of us. The truth be known, and our character, if we were describing our character, and if someone else was describing our character, it would be colorful. I remember in high school. Now, my family knows me as what? Bruce. That's it. That wasn't a trick question. But in school, I was known as Ralph. So those who were my friends, who knew me and would come around the house, they refer to me as Bruce. Those who knew me from school would refer to me as Ralph. And the interesting thing of it is, there were some who thought I was two different people. I know Ralph, but I don't know Bruce. Well, you're probably lucky. So, different characters. I think they finally came to the conclusion that I was a twin, but a set of twins. But a good story really describes its characters. And when we think of the characters, the stories, some are worth more than others. I mean, some are more valuable, of a different quality. The writings of Dickens are worth a good deal more than Joe Schmo from Kokomo. You never did know him up there, did you, Ed? But they differ in quality. That's why that there are times when they'll find original manuscript sheets of the writings of one of those classic authors. And they'll put it up for sale. It will go for tens of thousands of dollars. What makes the difference? The quality of the writing, the quality of life. Robert Murray McCheyne was a young man that went to Scotland. He preached the gospel there. In his memoirs, he wrote, "O God, help me to live so as to be missed. Help me to live so as to be missed." Sometimes the stories are continuous. Call them serials. The story continues. In reading a book, sometimes you come to the place, the two little words, the end, and you're not ready for it to end. You want more. And you read a book and get to the last page, and at the bottom it says, "To be continued." You get excited and can't wait until the next issue comes out. To be continued. If there's anything I hate on a TV program, is to see that at the end of the program, to be continued. Because I know I'm not going to see the other half of it. But some stories are continuous. You realize death is not the end. Death is not the end. God created us immortal. We're going to spend, the story's going to continue beyond the time. Death is just another chapter in life. The story continues. The venue changes. The one writing the story changes. But it continues. For our story to end well, we have to live well. And if we die having lived our lives with faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, the story continues on the other side in heaven. If we have lived our lives rejecting God's mercy, His grace, His love, His Son, then our eternal destiny is a devil's hell. It was created for the devil and his angels and not for you. A good story ends in different ways. How many of you have ever read a book and you got to the end and you weren't ready for it to end? You got to the end and it didn't end the way you wanted it to end. We see we have no control over that, do we? When our story ends is in God's hands. How the story ends is pretty much in our hands, whether we trust Christ or whether we reject Him.